Hi, everybody, and welcome to yet another edition of the Southern Fried Podcast. I'm Rex Nelson of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, and once again, somebody interesting from the community. We do this every couple of weeks. This is a production of the Democrat-Gazette, and we appreciate you joining us. Now, on the day that we're taping this is one of the coldest days of the year. But with me today from the Arkansas Travelers Youth Foundation, Lance Restum. You know him as the on-field voice at Dickey Stevens Park, the man that does all the fun stuff between innings at Dickey Stevens. But a new gig we're going to talk about. But this man, as we tape on this bitterly cold morning, tells me that pitchers and catchers report in a few weeks, and baseball season's right around the corner, right? And that means warm weather, right?
I mean, it's only 76 days away, Russ. But from the day of taping. So who's counting those kind of things? Yeah. No, it is cold. And we were joking. I feel old when I talk about the weather, but it's been so up and down, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot. It makes me miss summer already.
Yeah, me too. The Travelers are such a part of the very culture of this state. Certainly one of the oldest, most historic franchises in all of minor league baseball. And you know me, I love history. I love sports history. That's a show for another day. And we're going to get into baseball and the Travelers as a whole. But I want to start with your new gig now, and that is the Arkansas Travelers Youth Foundation, which really launched big time back in November. What is it, and what are you trying to do?
Correct, yes. Well, as you're familiar, the Travelers, like you said, they've been around since 1901. I mean, they're literally woven into the fabric of the community. I've been with the team now for 15, 16 years, and I can tell you the people that you meet, the fans, that's what the Travelers is, right? I mean, you can ask anyone who's been to a Travs game 2 weeks after, who our starting pitcher was. They're probably not going to be able to tell you. They can definitely tell you what they ate. They can tell you if they had a cold adult beverage. They can tell you if they caught a foul ball or played with the mascots. And so it's really about that emotional connection. And for years, ever since I've been with the Travs, we're a philanthropic organization. The Travelers have always given back to the community in a big way. I mean, we donate flagpoles to VAs. We're rebuilding fields. We're donating equipment. I mean, literally just the outpouring of community support from the Travelers has always been huge. I mean, it's one of the great ways, truthfully, that we market, right? Because going to a 5K and bringing Ace and, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So it's a really cool thing. Now, with the Arkansas Travelers Youth Foundation, what we've done is formalize that. We've created a public 501c3 nonprofit charity to really spearhead those efforts. What we've done for years is, we find community problems and we solve them. We find Little League, we have requests come in and we help when we can. We've donated to over 133 nonprofits through the Arkansas Travelers. So there's a lot of love that goes out there. Now we can actually formalize that. So you're correct. We officially launched the Arkansas Travelers Youth Foundation in November with the explicit purpose to support youth sports here in Central Arkansas. Obviously, I'm a little partial to baseball and softball, but we just want kids to get outside. I mean, that's a whole nother podcast about how kids are stuck indoors and spending so much time looking at their screens. Like, we got to get these kids outside.
Oh, absolutely. And I was going to get into that. And it's not just baseball, but we think of youth sports. People of my age, and I'm over 60, so people of my age, you automatically thought baseball. I mean, baseball was so huge when I was growing up, from Little League up through Babe Ruth. It was almost like something you were expected to do. And we have seen this drop through the decades. Let's talk about baseball particularly. Is it the game that no longer attracts? Is it, again, the attraction of video games, not getting outside, that also affects other sports? Is it all of the above?
Yeah.
What's happened through the years that we don't have the kind of youth baseball numbers that we once had?
Well, it's really a combination of factors, and you hit on several of them. I mean, the competition for a kid's free time and their attention is now, a lot bigger space. When I was a kid, and we had cable. I was privileged to have cable, and there was still only like 12 or 13 channels that, I could watch in cable. Nowadays, from the earliest age you can push a button on an iPad, you have access to virtually unlimited content. You could spend every minute of every day watching just unicorns. And I have a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old daughter, so pardon me if I use a lot of mermaid and unicorn references.
Yeah,
but
understood.
You can watch shows just about unicorns every day, all day, and never absorb all that content. So we've offered kids these really fun ways to like stay indoors and to stay on the screen and to play video games. We have to come up with a way to compete with it. So that's a big one. The other is the environment of minor league sports. Little league sports has changed, right? When I played Little League, we would, you join a team and you get a T-shirt and a hat, right? Like that was your uniform.
Absolutely.
And it was like a screen printed T-shirt that you got in a little, trucker hat. And then you would play other teams at your baseball field.
Yeah,
right.
You'd be in a league, and that was
down the
it.
street from your house. And maybe we'd have to drive across town, right? Like if we were a good team, which I was never on any good teams, but if you're on a good team, you travel a little bit. That's not how Little League sports is anymore. Now, from 8 years old, this travel ball has completely changed the environment of youth sports. So now, if you're a parent and your kid wants to play baseball, you're no longer paying, a minimal fee to get a T-shirt and a hat and then, take them to the ballpark. Now, you're paying hundreds of dollars for fees, thousands of dollars for equipment. Google a Little League bat right now, and it's like $500 or $600. It's ridiculous the amount of money that it costs to participate in this. And it creates barriers, economic barriers for youth here in Arkansas. So if you're paying, hundreds of dollars to be on the team, hundreds of dollars for the equipment, now your games, they're not here in Little Rock. They're in Tulsa.
Exactly.
They're in Springfield, or they're in Memphis. And so your whole family, mom and dad and all the little kids, right? You got a little sister, she's coming too. Now you got to pay for hotel, you got to pay for gas, you got to pay for food to feed the crew. Plus, these tournaments have fees. So bottom line, it's not the Little League that we grew up with. It's not in any way, shape, or form. And so it's excluding a lot of really good athletes here in the city, a lot of lower income or really even just challenged families. If you got 2 working parents in the house, maybe you can make practice during the week, but who's taking that kid to Springfield this weekend? I can't. I gotta work. Dad's working. So there's a lot of barriers, and we want to try and overcome that with the Arkansas Travelers Youth Foundation. The way we do that is we provide community grants. We help pay their tournament fees. We help pay for them to go travel. And so coaches and parents of Little League teams, if you've got a kid and he's or she is really passionate about the sport, about Little League or softball, and you're like, man, it's something we're not going to be able to do this year, sweetheart. I'm sorry, we can't afford it. It's cost prohibitive. We don't have the time. We got to stop that from happening. Because we got enough challenges as is to get the kids outside.
Right.
We don't need more obstacles in place. So that's a big thing we're going to be able to do. And it really goes all the way up. You got your Little League, right? And it truthfully starts at the field because you got to find a field to play on, and that's money. Then you got all the travel expenses. Then when they get in high school is now a pay to play too.
Exactly.
Even if you're a public high school, if you get drafted on the Catholic high school baseball team, right, you're thinking, oh, great, it's a public school. Well, you still got to have uniform fees. You still got fees to buy your own cleats and your own parts of your equipment, which are incredibly expensive at that level. And then there are field trip fees. So, and it may be $25 here and there, but it's still
it adds up.
Right. And it's an economic barrier to youth in Arkansas being successful. And we have such a wonderful and rich history of athletes in this state. If you look at some of the guys, obviously I'm partial to baseball, so I'm thinking like Cliff Lee and some of these other guys. But I mean, really, the athletes that come out of Arkansas are some of the best athletes in the world, and we're putting roadblocks up for them. Mm-hmm. And so the Arkansas Travelers Youth Foundation, from a fundamental ground-up approach, is trying to solve that problem. And there's a lot of ways to do that.
Yeah. Let me dig down a little bit even deeper into that subject. Try to get kids out, try to get them playing youth baseball again. Now, this is a whole nother show, of course, but...
we have like 6 shows.
But Major League Baseball, in essence, has taken over all of the minor leagues now. And I know at the very top levels in New York, and I'm not talking out of school or anything, everybody's read about this, but there is real concern that baseball is kind of seen as a old man sport, like me, an old white dude, that's their sport, and it's not popular among young people anymore. And there's a real concern there, and it goes back, does it not, to solve that larger problem, to getting kids to love the sport at a certain age. I mean, again, showing my age, when I was young, baseball was America. You love baseball automatically. But you look, for instance, at television ratings for the World Series through the decades and where they've gone. And so there's a bigger picture at work here, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Trying to get people interested in the sport itself again.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the main problem is starting at the youth. And I think we realize that whether we're talking about our education system or sports, it all begins with those kids, and it all begins at that youth age. And by fostering a love for the sport, even if you're not good at it. Hey, I'm the first one to say I am horrible at baseball, right? Like, I am not a good athlete, okay? But I played it when I was younger, and it got me hooked. It got me into it. And I think that's the gateway to get these youth involved and to get them out and playing again. And you're right. We have a big problem with the optics and the imaging of baseball, and we have. Fortunately, baseball has always been on the cutting edge of a lot of, I want to say, like progressive or community-based initiatives, right? Like they are constantly doing that. Now that the minor leagues, or MILB, has been kind of absorbed by MLB as part of the PDL, Professional Development League, there's now going to be more access to that kind of stuff and more access to those resources for diversity and inclusion. For example, 3 years ago, I think we started our Copa de la Diversion program.
Exactly.
If you're familiar with that. So what that is minor league baseball looked at our fan base and looked at our player base, and we're like, wait a minute. There is a ton of Latin American players that come out of these South American and countries.
Huge Hispanic influence now on professional baseball.
Huge. Yeah. And we were, for lack of a better term, not really spending as much time as we should be communicating with those fans and that demographic. And so Copa de la Diversion was an attempt to try and rebrand, and it's a theme night. If you've followed minor league baseball, ridiculous promotions are par for the course. That's show number 7 as we talk about all the ridiculous promos. But we're branding and we theme. So when we play our Copa games, as we call them, throughout the season, the team rebrands. It transforms into Diamantes. We partnered with the Mexican consulate and some Hispanic ad agencies to come up and craft a story. And it was all done for the purpose of reaching out to that fan base and creating a more diverse fan base because of exactly what you said. You look at baseball, and it does have a lot of stereotypes, but the truth is, in my opinion, more than any other sport, baseball literally is for everyone. I mean, it really is the most inclusive sport. If you were to look at national statistics and how they skew female-male, obviously baseball skews a little more male, but it's really close. It's really close. In fact, when we've done our own sampling of Travs fans, it's pretty close, 45-55 male or female-male ratio, which is impressive for a sport, because you look at football or basketball, those are men sports. I mean, they're skewed really heavily towards men's demographics. And so baseball is for everyone, and it does reach out to everyone, and it touches everyone in the community. And that's why the Arkansas Travelers Travelers Youth Foundation was such a great idea because it gives us the opportunity to reach everyone in every community and have such a large platform to do it from.
Yeah. Let me stay on this big picture on the future of baseball. Another thing that we have seen is we've seen Hispanic participation among those who play professional baseball, either at the minor league or major league level. While we've seen that go up, we have seen a steady decline in the number of African American players who play baseball. And I would have to think that programs such as yours in a city like Little Rock, where you have a very significant African American population, would be especially important to the baseball gurus in New York and elsewhere.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the history of baseball, right, and how even here in Arkansas, we have a really rich history with the Negro Leagues.
Oh, absolutely. I've got a friend doing a research project in my hometown of Arkadelphia on all of the great Negro League baseball players that came out of that one town, and I had no idea.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And that, well, it goes to my point. Like, Arkansas makes great athletes, you know, and they come in all different shapes and sizes. And so, to your point, that I think is a huge problem we have, is being able to reach out to the community. And our goal, my goal specifically with the Arkansas Travelers Youth Foundation, is exactly that, is to find those communities, find those kids, and remove some of the barriers, knock down some of the walls, and give them opportunities. And I think hopefully, you know, we'll see a change in that. We'll see a shift back in that, because when it comes, like, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but baseball is really for everyone. And when you look at the way that our player base and our demographics have shaped out, there's a huge opportunity to have a more diverse player base, which will then in turn bring the fans.
All right, we've handled this big picture. Let's get down to some specifics. Tell me some of the fun things that the Travelers Youth Foundation is going to be doing in the weeks and months and years ahead.
Well, specifically, I'm obviously starting where the low-hanging fruit, right? Picking up where we can be the most impactful. We launched in November. In December, we had our first ever give back event. I partnered with Academy Sports and Outdoors to give a little over $8,000 worth of bicycles and helmets to Watson's Elementary. That was obviously not like it wasn't baseball gloves, right? It wasn't. But the point is we're putting kids on bikes in the community. Like, we're literally giving them gifts to go outside. That is going to be the core of what I'm going to try and do this year, is to focus in on youth that need help getting outdoors. And I'm going to start with those community grants. So really, and this goes out to anyone listening, if you know someone or if you're looking for those community grants, email us and contact me at the foundation, and we can apply for those people, because that's the easiest solution right there. So that's the short answer. The long answer is that I'm going to be building a program that will not only be able to generate revenue to do the supporting of the youth, but also be able to reach out to them. So through our network of Travs resources, you know, we have access to thousands of Little League teams, and we deal with them all. So it's a great, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better connection network to be able to plug into these youth. But so some of the fun things I'm doing, like events, we'll be hosting a golf tournament. You know, I definitely want to do that. I think that those are fun, and they're a great way to generate funds and kind of reach out to those people that can be sponsors. We want to do an awards banquet. You know, I've already had several major corporate partners that have participated. We're building up our individual participation program. So I want to be able to do that. And then really at baseball games, you're going to see, when you come to a Travs game, you're going to see the Travs Youth Foundation represented in various different ways.
That's right.
You'll see silent auctions, 50-50 raffles, jersey auctions, different ways that we're reaching out to the community to try and not just raise funds, but also raise awareness so that people can participate, and suggest teams and Little League fields that need to be renovated and rebuilt. So there's a lot of ways we're doing that. One of the steps that I'm working on this month is creating our online donation platform. You know, I can tell you.
Yeah, and I want to go back and hit that point. The foundation is a 501c3 charity, so you can make tax-deductible contributions, right?
Absolutely. Wait, is this the point where we ask for money? Just tell me, when do we ask people for money? If it's now, I'll do it now.
Whatever. Go ahead.
But we, it does cost a lot of money to help these. And what we have seen is since we launched the foundation, because we're associated with the Travelers, because we're such a, long, we have a lot of requests. I have softball teams and baseball teams and little league teams that have already reached out to me, and I want to be able to serve those needs. But in order to do that, I got to have it funded. And so what my big push this month is going to be for individual donors, where you can become an all-star donor and you donate, $5, $10, $15 a month. And it goes as a tax deduction to the Arkansas Travelers Youth Foundation. Not only are you, giving money, but you also feel good about it because it's going to help those youth. So that's going to be a big push. But we're also applying for grants, community grants, and, larger grants from the state and from the community to try and fund it. But ultimately, those programs are always evolving. In fact, I was going to hit you up and say, hey, Rex, what good ideas do you have? Because I will say this, I've been with the team for a long time. I've served various roles. Most recently, I was assistant general manager.
And you've done well in all of them. By the way, I'm a biased source. You're supposed to do full disclosure, here at the newspaper. So full disclosure, I am vice president of the Travelers Board and a member of the executive management committee. So Lance has to be nice to me, in other words.
That's right. What a great shirt you have on. It really brings out your eyes, Russ. That is just... Did I mention that? No, but you're right. It is going to be an interesting kind of transition for me because for all my time that I've been at the Travs, I've been kind of in a marketing promotion. I was director of marketing and media, and that's always been my wheelhouse. And so if you came to me as XYZ business, I could say, hey, Rex, I would love to put a billboard in the outfield and it costs this much money and, here it is. Well, now I'm asking you to give me money. I'm not giving you anything, right? And
exactly.
And I want you to feel good about it. So, it's a transition.
It is a transition.
It's different, but it's exciting, and I can tell you a lot of good things are happening.
Now, as we were walking in to do the show, we were talking a little bit about your background. I want to touch on it just a second. You started as a radio guy, and that's how you got to Little Rock, right?
That is correct. I'm a Houston native, so graduated University of Houston, go Cougs. And I moved here in 2005 with Clear Channel. I was just a part-time, nobody, fill in, do whatever they asked me to do kind of guy for KIKK, Houston's Country Choice. And so I had the opportunity to move here. I have a lot of family from the Arkansas area. Both my parents are from the Benton and Sardis area. And so I have a lot of family that's here. And so when the opportunity arose for me to transfer, I did. So I moved here. I was 25 years old. I didn't know anyone. And that's when I was working at the radio station, DJ guy. And that's when we got a call from the Travs. And they said, hey, we need a bingo guy. And for those longtime Travs fans, which you'd have to be kind of old to remember Tuesday and Thursday night bingo.
I'm raising my hand. I was at Ray Winder Field for many of those.
It was awesome. It was Tuesday and Thursday night bingo. And every Tuesday and Thursday night, I'd show up and, hey, Travelers fans, it's time for straight line bingo, 5 in a row. And you've got a bingo. Here we go. 29, and we gave away great prizes. And so that was kind of my intro to the Travs. And when I moved here coming from Houston, I probably shouldn't admit this. You might kick me out of here when I tell you this, but I am an Astros fan. So Rex is like, podcast's over.
No. I like the Astros.
But
I'm first and foremost a Cardinals fan when it comes to Major League Baseball. Like so many Arkansans.
Well, there's a lot of tension in the Travs office because, they're not a lot of Astros fans, if you know what I'm saying. So needless to say, I moved here from Houston, and it was a kind of a great transition, but it was also kind of a wake-up call to go to Ray Winder, which you remember Ray Winder. I'm used to going to games in the Astrodome.
Exactly.
Right? And I was like, what did I get myself into?
Yeah.
But it's been amazing. And the history and the heritage that really the Travelers have. In fact, if you're on Jeopardy, I thought you were alluding to this earlier, but there is only one team that is consistently playing baseball under the same name longer than the Travs. Anyone got any guesses? The Buffalo Bisons.
Wow.
The Buffalo Bisons are the old, but you know who's number 2? The Travs.
Travelers,
right in there.
Number 2, yeah.
So we're just
Great
hoping
history.
that, the Bisons will change their name soon so we can take the reins.
Oh, such a rich history. Now, I mentioned earlier that, of course, anybody who goes out to Dickie Stevens, you're well known for the on-field promotions. You kind of hit on the fact that a lot of people 2 weeks later not going to remember. I suggest that one of the things about minor league baseball, and I think it's kind of a beauty of the event, I would suggest that the majority of the crowd has no idea even who won the game they were at that night. They will leave earlier. They're not paying attention. And I was having a discussion with Rusty Meeks, our CEO, a while back, and I said, those of us in the newspaper business, we try to boil things down and simplify it. I said, but I think I can simplify our mission as fun, safe, and after 2 years of a pandemic, I would add clean to that. But those 3 words. And
throw in affordable and you're there.
Yeah, even the president of our board, Russ Meeks, I look up, he walks around picking up any piece of trash that he sees. There's a real emphasis on keeping that park looking new, keeping it clean. You handle the fun aspect of it. It is a very safe family outing. Am I on target there? Fun, safe, and clean?
Yeah, I was just going to let you keep talking because you're doing a great. No, really, and you hit the nail on the head. The Meeks family in general has just been a blessing to Travs organization. And truthfully, Russ Meeks is probably the biggest influence in why we still have Travs baseball and where we're at right now.
Because over 30 markets lost their professional affiliation.
Yes, we did. And Russ made sure that didn't happen and made sure that we were going to keep baseball here in Central Arkansas. And so I'm incredibly blessed and thankful to them in general, but it has really created a family environment. You're right. When the president of the organization is like picking up trash, walking on his way in and, passing out, I call him baseball Santa Claus.
Passing out water to all the scouts that are there.
Well, he does that. But what's even cooler is when the game's over, he'll get foul balls, right?
Yeah.
Because, he's the president, so we give him foul ball. He gives them to little kids. And so he'll be standing there at the gate waving at people as they walk out. And here comes some little kid and, he had a great time. But Russ will just reach down, hand him a ball. And you've never seen a little kid so excited. You would have think he got a gold brick, from getting a foul ball. And that's part of the Meeks organization because they really do a great job of investing back in the team. And we have a great team to show for it. We have a great ballpark to show for it. And we have a great product. To your point, most people, we did surveys in 2017. I did this and it was no rules around it. But basically, it was exactly what you said. The people we surveyed 2 weeks after the game, most couldn't tell you the pitcher or the starting baseman. The pitcher or the second baseman. Most couldn't tell you the score of the game. In fact, you'd be surprised how many people thought we were called the Swamp Possums on the survey. Didn't even remember the name of the Travelers, but we had almost 100% of the people remembered what they ate.
Wow.
And most of them remembered catching a foul ball or meeting the mascots or playing one of my silly on-field games where we eat more chicken, right? That is what we do. Our product at the Travs is that memory. And, case in point, one of the best parts of my job is meeting people years later who remember that. I met a guy the other day, I almost called him a kid, but he's a guy now. He came up to me and goes, "Hey, you're the Travs guy. Yeah, you remember me? I played the fruit roll-up game."
Oh, wow.
Remember we did well, Russ, I don't know if that was like 2007.
Yeah.
We haven't had fruit roll-up as a sponsor since 2007.
Wow.
And this kid, adult now, comes up to me and he's like, "Yeah, you remember me?" I'm like, yeah, totally remember it, But it was that memory that he created, and that's what we do. That's our product. So fortunately, my job doesn't depend on if the Travs win or lose. That'd be rough.
As we look back at this pandemic, and hopefully very soon, I'm an optimist, it'll be in the rearview mirror, but I think we all realize things in life that we really missed. And of course, we didn't have a baseball season. There was no minor league baseball anywhere 2 years ago. And, I've had the same seat, as since the ballpark opened. And as I went to my seat last May, because because we didn't start till May. Last year, I will admit, Lance, the sentimental old man I'm becoming, I actually could feel my eyes watering up a little bit because I had really missed that in 2020, and it was great to have it back in 2021.
Well, we are a social people. Human beings, we need social interaction. And if the pandemic has taught us anything, it's that being locked in your house, isolated from people for long periods of time is not super healthy, right? And people need that social interaction. And the Travelers offer an opportunity for people to come out in a safe environment. And you're right. I mean, we have over 100 hand sanitizing stations, social distancing. We make it a welcoming, friendly environment, but you got to go out. You got to go hang out with people. And I'm really hopeful that 2022 is going to be a great year. We did notice people in 2021 that hadn't been to a game in several years. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, that guy hadn't been here in 5 or 6 years. So people were starting to reappreciate what this amazing product is that we have here in downtown. And it's amazing when you take something away and you're like, you can't have it. No. And then all of a sudden you give it back. They just want it. So.
You realize, absolutely. Well, it may still be winter, but spring's right around the corner. Play ball, Lance. Thank you for all you do. Thanks to the Arkansas Travelers for the part of our Arkansas culture that they have been now for so many decades. And thank you for joining us again for the Southern Fried Podcast.